Also want to encourage you to check out my blog, pharmacistben.com. Got a post up there about the whole multivitamins morass, the whole all that noise that's out there about whether you should take a multivitamin or not take a multivitamin. If you've listened to this program, you know my position on this. Got a couple letters this morning when I woke up. I saw a couple of notes about Dr. McDougall's appearance on Coast to Coast yesterday, and then I listened to Coast to Coast this morning on my Coast to Coast membership. Love Coast to Coast, love George Norrie, and don't listen to him as often as I might, but I did listen this morning, and I got lots to say about this craziness, this Dr. McDougall. Never did like Dr. McDougall's work, and I like it even less now that I've listened to him for a solid, and boy, was it hard to listen to this guy. I listened to the first hour, and then I listened to the next 15 or 20 minutes. I still got to get through some of the phone calls. What a bonehead. Oh, my goodness. I'll be talking more about this on our next Bright Side episode. Just to give you a couple ideas, Dr. McDougall makes claims like human beings are starchivores. Yes, this is what he says. That's his word, starchivores. Human beings are starchivores. Never mind that almost every respected scientist and nutritionist calls human beings omnivores, which means we eat everything, not starchivores, where we eat starch. Never mind that starch really didn't come onto the human diet scene until about 10 or 12,000 years ago, and the human body is hundreds of thousands of years old. Dr. McDougall makes claims like starch has always been at the center of our diet. Always? Really? Did they eat a lot of starch in the African savannah 100,000 years ago? I don't think so. He says, cats eat meat, humans eat starch. It's our food. Oh, my goodness. He says horses are big and strong, and a horse is a vegetarian. Never mind that a horse has multiple stomachs in order to extract nutrients out of the vegetables. He says there's a reason you love bread, because it's your food. Oh, really? He says cats eat meat, not bread, and that proves it. These are the crazy things that Dr. McDougall says. I'll be talking about more of this. I'll be addressing this more on our next Bright Side episode as I put this thing together, put my rebuttal together here. Well, one last crazy thing he says. He says, eat oatmeal, pancakes, waffles, beans, and lentils. I don't even know why I'm going to respond to this stupidity, but he has published a bunch of books, and unfortunately there's a lot of people who believe his silliness, and I'll be talking about this point by point on our next Bright Side program. But I want to finish up talking today about hyaluronic acid, just an absolutely stupendous, miraculous molecule, biological molecule. I saw some stuff on the internet about how hyaluronic acid can be obtained from plants or vegetarian hyaluronic acid. Not going to happen, people. Hyaluronic acid is an animal product only. It's only found in animals. Only animals make hyaluronic acid. If you're going to get hyaluronic acid in your body, you've got to supplement with it, and there are supplements available, or you have to use bone soup or cartilage-containing products. That's the main source. There's hyaluronic acid found throughout the body, but cartilage is really the best source, thus the importance of bone soup. Hyaluronic acid is a modified sugar. It's a long-chain sugar, but the sugars are modified. They're not exactly sugar. I'll tell you what I mean here in a minute. And hyaluronic acid has a very, 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 very important relationship to water. In fact, hyaluronic acid and water go together. You're not going to find hyaluronic acid anywhere in the system, in the body system, without some kind of water structure associated with it. Hyaluronic acid can be said to organize water. And this organization, this structure of water, this structurizing of water is something that scientists have only really begun to understand deeply in the last few decades. Organized water, structured water, is water that has a specific structure, a specific shape. It looks like a glass of water sloshing around in your glass, or the water sloshing around anywhere. It doesn't really have a structure, but indeed, at the electronic level, at the quantum level, at the very, very tiniest of levels in the body, this water is structured. This is why drinking water is not necessarily the best way to hydrate your cells or hydrate your tissues. The water in your cells and tissues has to have a certain kind of structure, a certain kind of organization, and this organization and structure is accomplished via the activity of sugars like hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid kind of pulls and organizes water the same way a magnet will organize iron filings. If you have a bunch of iron filings or paper clips or pieces of metal sitting on your table and they're scattered about, they'll be all disorganized. But if you hold a magnet over those iron filings, or paper clips or whatever, all of a sudden those paper clips and iron filings will take on a specific kind of structure. They'll be magnetized and they'll take on a shape. That's what hyaluronic acid does to water molecules at the very tiniest of levels, and it allows these water molecules to become conductive. They can conduct energy. They can even store energy. They can even store information, and this complex of hyaluronic acid and water becomes like an electrical processor. like a chip, like an information storage device. How cool is that? And you can eat the stuff. You can eat hyaluronic acid. You can take hyaluronic acid supplements, and you can improve the organization of water, the structure of water, the conductivity of water, the information processing ability of water simply by ingesting this stuff. Hyaluronic acid is a long chain of repeating sugars, modified sugars. They're not exactly sugars, they're modified sugars. In fact, hyaluronic acid is a long chain of just 2 modified sugars. So you get this modified sugar A, modified sugar B, modified sugar A, modified sugar B, AB, 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 long chain. And these repeating units, these repeating AB units that form a chain create little microscopic cages, submicroscopic cages. The repeating units, picture in your mind's eye how the A and the B and the A and the B and the A and the B and the A and the B sort of form these repeating boxes. And these repeating cages allow electrical energy to be stored. Electrons, little pieces of electricity, are literally stored in these little boxes, in these little cages. Where do these electrons come from? Ultimately, they come from water via the pulling effect, the sucking effect, the magnetic-like effect of hyaluronic acid on water molecules. I'll finish this up and explain a little more when we come back from our break. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Our number is 855-660-4261. We'll be back after this. All right, we are back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. How you doing? Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us. We welcome your phone calls here at 855-660-4261, and we do have a couple lines open for you. If you heard Dr. McDougall on Coast to Coast, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. We'll be covering his appearance on our next Bright Side episode. Dr. Human Beings Are Starchivores McDougall. Dr. Horses are big and strong, and they eat grass, so we should eat grass too. McDougall. So much silliness, and we'll cover this on our next Bright Side program. But if you want to comment, or you have some opinions, or you listen to the program and have some questions, 855-660-4261 is our number. If you have questions about the longevity products, or health, or medication, or nutrition, if you want to get off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, 855-660-4261 is your number on the Bright Side. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you hear advertised on the Bright Side or recommended, you can go to brightsideben.com and check out our shopping cart, or you can call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. And if you want to start a longevity business, you can you can call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470, or you can click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com. Okay, we're talking about hyaluronic acid. The hyaluronic acid structure allows it to trap water. Hyaluronic acid is found in the body wherever there's water, wherever the body needs to trap or hold on to water. You'll find hyaluronic acid, cartilage, the connective tissue of blood vessels in the circulatory system. There's lots of hyaluronic acid in the eyes. In fact, the name hyaluronic acid is derived from the word vitreous. Hyal, H-Y-A-L, means vitreous in Greek. Vitreous is the fluid that's in the eyes. And the bulk of hyaluronic acid is found in the skin. And hyaluronic acid, as we'll talk about here in a minute, has tremendous properties for helping the skin. You can have it injected in the skin. There's various products that will beef up the skin. Hyaluronic acid gives the skin a kind of beefy, thick quality via its ability to conduct or to attract water. Hyaluronic acid, or really the hyaluronic acid crystal, and it is a crystal, it's a crystalline structure, and we know crystalline structures conduct energy. Like all crystalline structures, hyaluronic acid creates an electrical charge, stores an electrical charge, processes an electrical charge, and it does it all via its water pulling effect. This electrical charge that hyaluronic acid creates affects cell growth, cell healing, and this makes hyaluronic acid important on two fronts. First of all, hyaluronic acid helps tissue maintain its moisture. Especially important for joint tissue, for skin tissue, if you're dealing with arthritis. Hyaluronic acid can be a great remedy for arthritis, a great way to address arthritic symptoms, any kind of joint degeneration symptoms, any kind of connective tissue degeneration symptoms. as well as helping beef up the skin, as I said. And hyaluronic acid, via its electrical charge effects, can actually help accelerate cell division. Cell division depends on water, depends on the hydration of a cell, and hyaluronic acid, via this water trapping and electrical energy effect, can speed up cell division. This makes it important for cancer cells as well. Cancer cells will express lots of hyaluronic acid in order to accelerate their growth. So there's a dark side to hyaluronic acid. In terms of carcinogenesis in cancer, cancer cells will also use hyaluronic acid to help themselves spread. Hyaluronic acid is made of two building block substances, sugar derivatives, modified sugar pieces that have their own interesting properties. These two sugar pieces, or modified sugar pieces, are called glucuronic acid. Some people call it glucarate. Glucuronic acid is one of the most important liver detox nutrients you could ever use. So on top of all the benefits of hyaluronic acid for keeping the skin soft and hydrated, for keeping your joints healthy, for keeping connective tissue healthy, for keeping your eyes healthy, hyaluronic acid can also improve liver function. It can improve detox properties. It can be used as a detoxification substance. Glucuronic acid, one of the components of hyaluronic acid, is used by the liver to purify the body of drugs and toxins. And then hyaluronic acid also contains glucosamine, or actually a form of glucosamine called Na-glucosamine, which is especially important, as we said yesterday, for the digestive system. Glucosamine can be found in the glucogel caps from Longevity, so you can actually make your own hyaluronic acid by using the glucogel caps. Love that product, the glucogel caps. We don't talk about it a lot. We don't talk about it enough. Everybody knows about the glucogel caps for arthritis and for joints. But now you know that because the glucogel caps can help your body make hyaluronic acid, make NAG, the glucogel caps can also be very important for skin health, for the health of your blood vessels, for the health of your eyes, for the health of your liver, and for the health of your digestive system. I love multifunctional products. I love products that have a multifunctional nature that give you many, many benefits. Especially considering that the glucogel caps are one of the most important of all the Longevity products, especially considering the fact that it's so cheap. You can help your joints, you can help your eyes, you can help your digestive system, and you can help your body make hyaluronic acid, and on top of all that, you can support your liver. Hyaluronic acid, as I say, is especially important for skin health. It improves the beefy nature of skin, the thick nature of skin. One of the things that happens as we get older is our skin gets thinner, and it's not necessarily the surface of the skin, but it's the beefy part underneath. So-called dermis, or connective tissue, gets thinner, and using hyaluronic acid supplements, or eating your bone soup, or taking your glucogel caps may help you thicken that dermis and improve some of the signs of aging and accelerated aging. Hyaluronic acid also has an anti-sugaring effect. This is so neat, and you don't hear a lot about this either. Hyaluronic acid is anti-glycation. We've talked in the past about how sugar reacts with proteins, and this has a kind of browning effect. Sugar and protein together cause something called glycation. Diabetics know about glycation. They'll have a glycated hemoglobin test done to see how fast they're browning or sugaring, caramelizing, if you will. The skin is really prone to glycation. There's a lot of sugar in the skin. People don't realize this, but the skin actually processes a lot of sugar. And when you're eating a lot of sugar, and you're not handling your sugar as well, if you have diabetes or prediabetes, your insulin isn't working as well as it should, and your sugar is starting to rise, your skin sugar will rise too, and this can increase the likelihood of wrinkles and accelerated aging as your skin and your connective tissue in your skin cells caramelize as they glycate. Well, guess what? Hyaluronic acid is anti-glycating. It protects your skin from ages and aging. AGE stands for Advanced Glycosylated End Products. AGE are the little browning end products that are caused by the reactions between sugar and protein, and hyaluronic acid has a protective effect. Hyaluronic acid is anti-glycating. It will protect your skin, and it will protect your blood vessels, and it will protect everything in your body, really, from glycation, from these advanced glycated end products. Similar to what happens when you caramelize or brown onions. Onions have lots of sugar, and when you brown onions or when you braise onions, you create this browning effect between the sugar and the protein in the onions. That's a caramelization effect, and that's exactly what happens in the body to your organs and your glands and your bone cartilage and your collagen when sugar when glucose hits those protein molecules, you get this browning, caramelizing effect. Hyaluronic acid is found in the body wherever you find lots of sugar, lots of potential glycation effects, and hyaluronic acid is a wonderful anti-glycating product. Hyaluronic acid levels are super, super tightly regulated, and cells that divide rapidly, like cancer cells, are associated with higher levels of HA. So you got to be kind of careful with hyaluronic acid. Supplementing with hyaluronic acid isn't going to be a problem, however, and of course you can always use your glucogel caps to jack up your HA levels. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got a couple letters this morning from folks who heard Dr. McDougall on George Norrie yesterday on Coast to Coast, and then I listened to him this morning, and I was blown away. I've always been blown away, not in a good way, by Dr. McDougall. I consider him to be, well, I'm not going to say anything bad, but just don't pay much attention to what Dr. McDougall says. His latest book, which I ordered this morning, I don't know if it's his latest book, but one of his books that I ordered this morning is called The Starch Solution, I believe. I ordered it off Kindle, and I haven't quite gotten a chance to read through it yet. I try to avoid reading anything Dr. McDougall says, but seeing as how he was on George Norrie and I got a bunch of letters, I figured I would buy the book and give it a read and give it a listen. And man, was I shocked by what I heard. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I listened to a bunch of stuff that he talked about. And I will have a rebuttal. I'll be rebutting his stuff point by point on our next Brightside program. I want to finish up the program, finish up listening to the program on Coast to Coast. Love Coast to Coast, by the way. If you guys haven't listened to it, I know most of you have. But George always has interesting guests, including Dr. McDougall, even though I don't agree with him, he was certainly interesting. He says human beings are starchivores. And then he says that starch has always been the center of our diet. Really. He says high protein is high meat. Oh, really? What about whey? What about eggs? He never mentions eggs, by the way. He always talks about meat. And this is one of the things that these hardcore vegetarians and hardcore vegans talk about. And by the way, I'm a vegetarian. Partially, mostly. I don't eat a lot of meat. And that's not because meat is a bad food. Meat's a little difficult to process, but it's how we get our meat. It's supermarket meat. It's restaurant meat. That's the problem. But meat itself is not a bad food. We're omnivores. That means we eat everything, including meat. And to say we're starchivores is just flat out wrong, Dr. McDougall. I don't know where you're getting your information from. The most egregious, the craziest thing he said was, eat oatmeal, pancakes, waffles, beans, and lentils. This is what he says. Listen to it. We'll be talking about this point by point on our next Brightside program. I want to finish up talking about hyaluronic acid. Actually, you know what? Let me see here. Let's take a phone call quick, and then I'll finish up talking about hyaluronic acid, and then we'll continue talking about nutrients that you could use for eye health. And then we'll talk about glutathione, which we started a while ago. I haven't forgotten about that. Glutathione, the most important cancer fighter, antioxidant, detoxifying substance in the body, made by the liver, made by healthy livers. And we will continue talking about that because we are still talking about peptides and proteins in the body. Okay, 855-660-4261 is our number. We do have a couple lines open for you. Marie in Indiana, welcome to the Bright Side. What's going on?
Well, I have some problems in my eyes with floaters, but they're a little more than that now because they've gotten pretty large and they're a lot, about all the time.
Okay.
And I have osteopenia.
Osteopenia.
Yes.
Okay.
In my neck and all the way down.
No, you only have one thing. You're describing all the leaves on the tree, but you only got one tree. Does that make sense? I just made that little analogy up. Those are all little leaves on the tree. You know, the floaters, which are a sign that your eyes are breaking down. The osteopenia, which is a sign that your bones are breaking down. I guarantee you got other things going on as well. You probably have some arthritis too. You probably have some stomach problems. You probably got weight problems. All of that. And I'm not picking on you, Marie. I just want you to see this is how the body breaks down. It doesn't just break down in the eyes, and it doesn't just break down in the bones, and it doesn't just break down in the joints. It breaks down generically. It breaks down as a system. The whole thing breaks down in one big shebang, which is good news because it means that we can turn the thing around just by doing a few little things. Now, without telling me exactly how old you are, I'm going to guess you're in your 60s. Is that right?
I'll be 72 next month.
Okay. Well, you're doing pretty good there, my dear. But you've got 6 decades plus of kind of messing up the body a little bit. So we got to reverse this thing. Here's what you want to do. Number one, first and foremost, we got to start working on your body, on your digestive system, on your body's ability to absorb nutrients. You're probably malnourished. And that's why osteopenia, by the way, means that you're not making bones as well. Your bone cells aren't working as they should, and your bones are starting to break down. It's a step before osteoporosis. Now, your body's breaking down. What that means is we got to get you some nutrients. A couple of things. First of all, if you have any kind of digestive problems, you want to correct those. If you got digestive problems, chances are you got holes in your gut. You have a tube that runs from your mouth to the other end. We're going to call that the gut, generically. And that's your digestive tube. Over time, as the body becomes malnourished, you get breaks and leaks in that tube, and food doesn't get absorbed correctly. Nutrients don't get absorbed correctly, and this is where the breakdown process begins. So we've got to patch that gut up. So any kind of problem foods, pro-inflammatory foods, foods that mess up your digestive system should be avoided. And if you don't want to take the time to do the elimination diet and pay attention to exactly what foods are causing what problems, just avoid the really bad foods, the breads and the pastas and the McDougall foods, the waffles and the pancakes and the cereals. We're going to call those McDougall foods from now on. Those are the foods that the good doctor says we should be taking. You probably want to be avoiding them if you're interested in keeping your intestines and your gut healthy. Staying away from those foods is very important. Secondly, we want to get you some liquid protein. Liquid protein will help build up the gut and will help soothe the surface of the gut, what's called the mucosa, or the epithelial tissue. And liquid protein, of course, is best taken into the body in the form of bone soup. You ever have bone soup, Marie?
Not really.
Make it. Learn how to make it and live on it, at least for until you get things straightened out. It'll make a huge...
What kind of bones?
Let me tell you how you do it. I'll tell you the whole process here. Bone soup's going to help it'll help your bones, it'll help your connective tissue, and it'll help your eyes as well. Hang on, I'll tell you how you do the bone soup. We got to take a break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Our number 855-660-4261. We'll be back after this. We're back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. 855-660-4261 is our number. We're talking to Marie in Indiana. Marie, are you there, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
All right, we need to get you built up again, ma'am. Your body, and don't take this the wrong way. I'm just going to be frank here. I'm not just talking healthcare. Your body's falling apart, okay? That's what the eye floaters are. That's what the osteopenia is. Chances are you got blood sugar problems, weight problems, and blood pressure problems, the whole bit. Because that's how the body falls apart. That's how we, that's the human condition. It doesn't have to, but it does. So what you got to do, number one, is we got to correct your malnourishment issue. You want to soothe the gut first and foremost and get yourself some liquid protein. Bone soup will do both. Bone soup is liquid protein, number one. I'll tell you how you make it here in a second. Bone soup is liquid protein, number one, and it's got all of these polysaccharides, long-chain sugars, hyaluronic acid that will soothe and repair the digestive tract. Bonus, it'll soothe and repair your eyes as well. Help you repair your eyes, and it can also help you with your bones. Hyaluronic acid is also important for bones. Bone soup for bones. Makes sense. So what you want to do is you take a chicken, right? Mm-hmm. I personally like a pre-cooked chicken from Whole Foods. Always make sure when you're making your bone soup with a chicken that chicken is organic, hormone-free, free-range, antibiotic-free. Because if you take a chicken that's from, Purdue or supermarket chicken or whatever, Tyson chicken, you're going to get antibiotics, and you're going to get hormones, and you're going to get all the nasty stuff that's fed to the bird in the water. It's going to come out in the soup, and you're going to drink a poison soup, which you don't want to do. So you got to make sure when you're making bone soup that you're making it with a good, clean chicken. If you use one that's already pre-cooked, it'll be a little quicker for you, and it'll already be spiced up, one of those rotisserie chickens. But if you don't need to do that. You can use a fresh chicken. Drop it in the pot. Actually, what I like to do is I like to braise some vegetables and some spices in a little bit of oil at the bottom, in a little bit of butter or coconut oil in the bottom of the pan, the soup pan, and then top it off with water, fill it up with water, drop the chicken in there, and then let it simmer. Bring it to a boil and then let it simmer for 8 to 12 to 14 to 16 hours. It really doesn't matter. The longer you let it simmer, the more the meat's going to fall off the bones, and the more the cartilage factors will dissolve in the liquid. Those cartilage factors are what you're looking for. Let me say that again. That's so important. When you look at a chicken bone, a chicken leg, and you see that knobby white stuff on the top, that's the cartilage, and that stuff will dissolve in the soup. Especially if you add lemon or lime or apple cider vinegar or some kind of acid into the water, that will help all those cartilaginous factors, all that cartilage dissolve in the soup. And that's what you're looking for, Marie. That cartilage it contains all of these yummy proteoglycan polysaccharide sugar materials that will coat and soothe the stomach. those cartilage factors will come out in the liquid and be not the stomach, but the intestines. That cartilage factors are what you're looking for in addition to all the meat that comes off of the bones. And that soup will be the most delicious beverage food you could ever eat. Spice it up, put salt in there, lots of salt to your taste. Use Celtic sea salt, not Morton's. And then at the end, maybe a half hour before you're ready to eat, you throw in some veggies. You don't want to throw the veggies in too early because they'll get all soft and soggy and you'll lose some of those nutrients as you're simmering the water. So you want to throw the veggies in maybe a half hour before you're ready to eat the soup. Does that make sense, ma'am?
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of the soup and the veggies are incredibly soothing and nutritious for not just the digestive system, but for your entire body. Make sure you're using vitamin C with your bone soup. And always do the bone soup at the beginning of your meals. Bone soup ideally should be the only food of your meals, but if you're eating a meal, do the bone soup first. You'll get better absorption of the nutrients. And if you use vitamin C with the bone soup, you'll get better absorption of those cartilage factors. Now, in addition to the bone soup, get yourself on the glucogel caps from Longevity. Make sure you're using digestive enzymes, the ultimate enzymes, with all of your meals. Wouldn't hurt you to get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence from Longevity. And personally, if it was me, I'd be using the Z Radical as well. And of course, you probably want to use the BTT all day long and get on the Healthy Star Pack too. Now, if you want to throw in some other nutrients for the eyes, get on the Vision FX from Longevity. You might also want to throw in some vitamin E, 400 international units of vitamin E. Look for mixed tocopherols. I already told you about vitamin C. That's very important, not just for those cartilage factors, but also for your eyes and for your bones and for general regeneration. And my dear Marie, if you do everything I said in addition to eliminating problem foods, 100% guarantee you're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to notice those floaters are improving, and you're going to start to notice your bone health improves as well. And by the way, there's tons more that you could do. You probably should be doing zinc. You should probably be doing 50 milligrams a day, magnesium, calcium. You should probably be on selenium and alpha lipoic acid, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So if you just do the replay back, or just do the few things that I told you about the bone soup and the enzymes and the Vision FX and the Z Radical, you should start to notice some significant differences in your health, and it shouldn't take you very long. Any other questions, ma'am?
I was wondering if you could buy that bone soup already canned up
No,
or
make your own. Marie, you're 72 years old.
I don't have a place to buy these here organic chickens.
Where do you live?
Well, I live out,
in the country? Are you out in the country?
Well, I am, no, not really, but I am west of Louisville, Kentucky, about 50 miles.
If you're not in a little town, you could find a Whole Foods, come on, or a health food store. Got to have them.
I got health food stores, but they don't sell that.
They don't sell meat. They don't sell chicken. You know, the problem, what you're asking for is a prepared food, and I'm telling you how you want to prepare your own foods. One of the biggest problems we have in our culture is everybody else is preparing our foods. If somebody's preparing your food, Marie, they could give a crap about your health. Excuse my French. You know what? If somebody's preparing a food at a big factory somewhere, and it's some kind of centralized industrial corporate kind of food, and it comes in a package, and it comes in a sealed up, and it's kept in the freezer, that's a food that's not in your interest to eat. Plain and simple. Fresh, whole food. And that's what the bone soup is. I wish I could tell you. I would make bone soup for you, Marie. You sound like a sweet lady. I would make it here in Colorado and ship it out to you, but I can't do that. All right, ma'am. I got to move on. Happy holidays. God bless you. Thank you so much for your call. All right, let's see. Dondi in California, welcome to the bright side. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello, Dondi. Welcome. What's up?
Hi, Ben. In my understanding is that cataracts and fibroids are actually glycation.
Where'd you get? That's good. That's good. They're kind of glycation. They're both. Glycation is one of the ways the body degenerates. One of the ways the body falls apart. Cataracts are glycation partially. They're also oxidation. It's just basically it's the body falling apart. Now fibroids are a little bit different. Fibroids are the way the body protects itself. They're a manifestation of the stress response. They could be initiated by some kind of glycation, but whenever you have fibroids or fibers, you've got stress hormones. And this is the basic breakdown, the basic way the body breaks down is via stress and stress chemicals. Estrogen leads to fibroids. Excess serotonin can lead to fibroids. All the things that stress the body will lead to fibroids. Sugar can lead to fibroids. Glycation may be involved. Oxidation may be involved. It's just a general manifestation of the body falling apart. What was your question?
So everything all my research points to prevention, but nothing comes out and says, how do you remove glycation?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good question. The body removes the glycation for you. See, the body's always remodeling itself. The body's always breaking down old tissue and building up new tissue. So when tissue is glycated, it's not permanent. It's not like you have a permanent glycation spot. The body will take care of that if it's healthy. So what you want to do is you want to help support in addition to the prevention, that goes without saying. I'm not going to address that. But in addition to the glycation, you want to help the body remodel. That means you want to give the body all the raw materials it needs to do its remodeling work. The protein is the building blocks. Essential fatty acids provide hormone support, and then the B vitamins and the micronutrients help provide energy as well, and communication molecules. So your strategy for glycation, in addition to prevention, your main strategy is to help the body remodel. This term remodeling is very important. And we don't talk about it a lot, but it's still very important to understand that the body is constantly breaking down old tissue and building up new tissue. Does that make sense? It's getting rid of the old, it's putting in the new. So glycated spots that are dysfunctional or disfigured or have some kind of shape change to them because of a reaction with sugar, a glycation reaction will be cleared out of the body. And it is cleared out of the body if you're healthy. It's only when the glycation occurs too fast for the body to remodel itself that you're going to run into a problem. So as long as you're taking care, if you've been wrecking up your body for a decade or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and you want to turn this thing around, your body will do the work. Your body will take care of it. Just give it the raw materials that it needs to do its work, in addition to preventing further glycation. That means protein, that means micronutrients, the B vitamins especially, and vitamin C, as well as your fatty vitamins. And that also means minerals, of course, go without saying. And then you can also throw in anti-glycating substances like hyaluronic acid, which also help the remodeling process. Thanks so much for your call, Dondi. Appreciate it. And that's all the time we have for today on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. On our next program, we will absolutely finish talking about hyaluronic acid, and then we will continue talking about polysaccharides, and then we'll talk about glutathione as we continue talking about eye health. And then we'll also touch on Dr. McDougall and his appearance on Coast to Coast. I'll give you my take on all of that, and that'll be on our next Bright Side program. Thanks so much for listening. Check out my website, brightsideben.com, my blog, pharmacistben.com. If you're interested in purchasing any of the longevity products or starting the longevity business, head over to brightsideben.com and click on the Join the Team link. Thanks so much for listening, folks. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome day. Take care. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.